Welcome everybody. Welcome to today's daily EOD market recap uh, for 8th and 9th Feb. Yesterday we missed a video log, so I'm covering yesterday also. And potential auction paths. Myself, Dean. You can get in touch with me on Twitter. Visit my website at getthattradingedge.in. The software used for today's report are Bell Market Profile and Bell Order Flow. You can view the software details on belltpo.com. Let me just go through the disclaimer. Information shared here is not a trading recommendation, and we are not in a business of providing any. All information shared here is strictly for educational purposes only. Please use your discretion while acting on the information shared here. We will not be responsible for any resulting profits or losses. Please consult your registered financial advisor before you make any trading and investment decision. So there were no questions today. Let's straight away go to charts. So this is the market profile chart, and this was yesterday 8th, and this is today's development. So let's just look into yesterday's development first. Yesterday we opened inside value, and early part of the day we were just trading inside value of previous day. Now yesterday we had a breakdown attempt below this 8774 level, where buyers stepped in and moved the price back above that level. Today we were expecting a test below this level, and then again price is going higher. So we got this kind of a development here. But since today was a news day, all the participants were just waiting for the news, and RBI did not change any rates, and that spooked the markets, and market started falling. So in the intraday I had shared that update that if we have to go up, we need to stay above this particular low. But we broke it, and then we fell sharply because a lot of stops were here as well as below the low of yesterday on it, and we took out all these stops. And we had mentioned that this 2-day point of control is an important region, which is the second level where bulls might come in. Firstly, they might try to prevent an entry into this range. And the second is to defend the point of control for that range. If we cannot do that, then definitely the bulls have given up. But what happened was, immediately as we reached this level, bulls stepped in and pushed the prices higher, and we closed almost at the IB high. So any selling that was going on during this whole period, during this initial value and the late spike down, was under pressure going into the close. So let me just draw this particular shape here, which I had mentioned in the intraday update, that the market is taking a familiar shape, that is a Q shape. And we all know what this means is that value has developed higher, and we have just strayed too far away from value. But you also need to see what this movement is going against. It was going against this particular point of control, which was the point of control before this breakout. So it was expected that buyers will defend this level, and that too after forming value higher and just spiking into it was almost a guarantee that we'll get at least one sharp move away from this level, and that is what we got going into the close. So the close was just at the edge of this whole combined value, yesterday's and today's value. We closed just at the edge. So as it is, I mean, anybody who was short in this particular region from yesterday or earlier today, or some late momentum sellers or breakdown traders who got short in this spike, everybody was put under pressure by this close. So we knew that sellers were going home anxious, not knowing for sure what their position is, what will happen to them on the next day. So that was about yesterday. So we would have expected a higher open for sure because the sellers were under pressure. But then what happens with that higher opening was an important point. What happened was we opened higher for sure. We went up and actually, excuse me, yeah, actually traded above this particular high. Now this was a failed auction. We traded above it. We found nothing above it and started trading back down. Now what we had mentioned earlier was for higher prices we required acceptance in this region. To put any strong selling which has happened in this particular value area under pressure, we needed to find some acceptance in this region, which we did not have on this day as well as today. So today what happened, we opened gap up a bit, sharply moved higher. Now that was expected. I mean that move was expected to put any selling from this area under pressure. But since there was not much power associated with it, it immediately came back down and immediately traded through this whole region, even through this lower combined value for these 2 days, and went down straight away to test this low from yesterday. So, and came exactly to that level and reversed. In the process, it also formed a small value over here. Now when this was happening, I had put in an update saying that this is a weak low because it matches with this prior low. Also we have this particular reference to the left. So we have too many visual references which were being respected, and that is generally the behavior of shorter time frame traders who look at visual references to take their positions. So this low was weak, and according to Dalton is not a very strong structure. That does not mean that immediately we have to trade through it, but it's still not a strong structure. So we came down sharply. We know that any wide bars going continuously in one direction, this stretched kind of a move is always an emotional move. Then we had this small value forming at the lows. It suggested that patient buyers were again stepping in against this emotional move, and that means this emotional move is not likely to continue or find any continuation to the lower side. So prices then started moving higher, not very swiftly. There was a lot of resistance. Looking at this sharp break, pullback sellers were trying to sell every rise in this range, but still again we have to look at where the market closed. So market has closed again in this range. Let me just clear everything. Okay, so market has closed here. Now this line immediately we can see that this particular close has put everybody who has any short positions from this whole 3 days action at break even. If you have sold at exactly at the top of this range, if you have sold anywhere lower than this range, then you are again underwater. And what is happening now is that all these sellers are going home underwater. Their positions are not showing them any profits. Most of them must be showing losses, and these patient buyers are going home with a strong close. So what do we have above this close is this single prints, or you can say that this is another form of auction failure, where we looked above 3-4 days high and we have failed. So buyers could not find anything here in the morning we all know what smart money does is to sell high and buy low. So this was not a point for them to accumulate their positions. So they marked the prices down and made these guys feel comfortable for a while, and then accumulated at lower levels. And now they have closed at a level where everybody who has sold in this particular box is feeling the pressure. So we have a bit of a conflicting developments on our hand. First is that we have this poor low, as we call it, and then we have this close which is putting most of the sellers under pressure. So if we open higher and take out these singles quickly, then start finding acceptance above, then there is every chance that we'll continue moving higher, because then this whole region becomes a consolidation, and any shorts which were there created during this 4-day consolidation which are not covered will be put under pressure if this action happens. On the contrary, if we cannot find acceptance in this particular area, the value from 6th which we are expecting, so if we cannot find this kind of acceptance, if we can find it, then again the same thing, these sellers have so far held the prices below their the fairest price. So if we start finding acceptance in this fairest price, then immediately the test of this high opens up. Not sure whether we'll then move very higher, much higher above this level, because then value will be lower, forming in this range. So moving away from value above FA, I don't think will be that easy. But if we just straight away open higher and start accepting above this high, then we have a big move possible. But if you find acceptance here, we might stay in this range, repair these single prints, and take it from there. But if we again come down and start accepting here, then this poor structure lower opens up for a test, this poor low. But for that we need to open down, find acceptance anywhere here, just not trade above this particular range where the 2 days highs are there. This 2 days, this J period rejection also came from the same range. So as long as we stay below this fairest price, this value area from 6th, then the bears still have hope. The moment we start accepting inside this value area, then the sellers here will start questioning their logic behind staying short, and they might be forced to cover. Gap open and finding acceptance above the high is another bullish possibility for higher prices. But if we again open lower and just keep trading in this range, then we have a chance of auction trying to repair this poor structure, look below it, and then see whether it has to go reverse back up, or if it finds anything below this supply, then if it finds supply here, then we'll probe lower levels. There are a few. There is this anomaly here and this anomaly here, so these will be targeted. So let's see. I mean, it all depends on how we open tomorrow and where is the early trade taking place. So that is what I feel for tomorrow. Let us just look at the order flow chart. There were a few interesting things happening there. This was that budget day spike down. So as we have been observing for quite some time now, we have this huge red prints, this big seller, and prices closing higher. It immediately alerted us that these sellers are now underwater and there might be some pressure on them to cover, and that is exactly what happened. Prices went higher and closed above the whatever value that was being formed. So that put all the sellers from this day under pressure, and that led to this higher open today. Again, you can see once we open higher, what do we get? We see some trapped buyers, some selling coming in, and mind you, this is not at the lows, so these might just be the real sellers. Some trap buying. You can see also that the interest was waning as we went higher. Only 5850 buyers at the top compared to these higher numbers. So this gradient was also there, and the price followed. I mean, we saw prices going lower. And looking at this failed auction, not able to find anything above the sixth failed auction. Sellers stepped in and they just sold rapidly. And since buyers could not find here, they stepped aside, and they just waited till the auction found a level where some buying was emerging again. So where was that again? The poor low that we were discussing, that is exactly the level where they started finding some resistance. See, lot of red prints, and the next bar is up, cannot go down. Again, some trap sellers at the lows. Here also a lot of red prints. Close is lower, but we do not cover much ground below the low of this bar. And then again, we slowly start moving higher. So again, an example of trap shorts in this range. And as we have seen so many times now, what happens is that these guys force these shorts to cover and take the prices up. So once these shorts were trapped, bulls had very little to do. They just let these trap shorts cover their positions and ride the up move. This close again, as we have discussed on profile charts, puts any selling in last 3 days under pressure, and only this region is there to save us. But since this whole move was so, wait a minute, what happened? Yeah, since this move was so rapid, it was emotional. Mostly, people who were hoping for a higher move and higher prices forced to cover their longs. So kind of a long liquidation break, which became evident when we saw this particular action. And now we have closed again at levels where at least today's selling, late selling is definitely under pressure. And 2 days prior also, any selling happening in that range is, finding their positions underwater. So all in all, I expect that sellers are going home anxious, and we should see some higher prices tomorrow. So I think that is it for today. We'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.